Hello, I'm Christian from the Welsh Sports channel and DragonSports, and today I'll be previewing the massive quarter-final game between Ospreys and Lyon this weekend. But before I go into that, I just want to touch on the situation at Cardiff. So if anyone didn't know, Cardiff come out and had announced that they would be going into administration. What has kind of emerged is that Helford Capital, who had taken over from Peter Thomas when he unfortunately passed away, had all these plans. They were going to put all this money in, apparently some from the Middle East, and it never really materialised. And this has been going on for over a year. So Cardiff have sort of had this situation going on where they're not getting the funds that they wanted for over a year now. So it's crazy how it's only really emerging now. The WRU instantly came out and said that they would step in for Cardiff to save the club, and they have done so now. So the future of Cardiff is secure, at least for the short term. What it means for the long term, that's anyone's guess. I guess the WRU will say we want to move it on when there's an appropriate buyer. I think that's going to be difficult to find. Will they then just decide, because they want more power and more control over the regions, this is an opportunity? We've got the capital city region here in our control. Will they just take that on board? But if they do, they're going to be saddled with even more debt. And, you know, there's plenty of debt in Welsh rugby as it is. And it's just a really messy situation. Luckily, everyone's going to be keeping their jobs for the rest of this season. And they've guaranteed next season. The signings that had already signed for Cardiff are guaranteed that they're going ahead as well. So everything is really business as usual on the field. But of course, it's not, because in the background is a bit of turmoil. Luckily, there is no game for Cardiff this weekend, and kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's a lot for the players and the staff and all that to be dealing with in the background. I do have a quote from Abby Tierney talking about the fact that the WRU were coming in, and apparently they knew this was going on for a while. And this is what kind of makes Sam Warburton's comment a bit weird a few weeks ago. This has been going on for ages, and this situation has sort of come into an end point in the last few weeks. And then for him to say we need to be cutting a region and sort of hinting that it would be the Dragons is strange when he was on the Cardiff board knowing that this was happening. So it doesn't make sense. But I'll go to Abby Tierney's quote. Excuse me, I'll have to read it, so bear with me. Okay, so Abby Tierney says, quote, "We are talking to the other three clubs regularly, and they understand the reasons why we have done this and why rugby in Cardiff is so important. They have questions about what this means for them and the funding, but I'm confident that we will get the PRA done." So, of course, she's alluding to the fact that we've been hearing for weeks to months now that the PRA is literally ready to be signed. Nothing's come out, and now this throws a massive spanner in the works, because obviously everyone's funding is going to be sort of dependent on what the amount of money the WRU have, and now they're going to have a lot less because of this. She carries on then. She says, quote, "We would have taken each situation on a business case and looked at everyone independently. I would not want to talk and look into a crystal ball and say if it had been one of the other clubs, we would have made a different decision." So I guess without the context, someone has asked her, you know, would you have done this for one of the other regions? And she's kind of like danced around the question. But I mean, I don't know what they're expecting her to do. She's not going to really answer that question. So yeah, just interesting to hear the WRU speak about it. Like I said, it's an emergent situation, constantly changing, more details coming out all the time. So more to follow probably in the not so distant future. But what the WRU will do with Cardiff and what the long-term future is for Cardiff, we don't know. But this certainly gives a lot more credence to people who say we can't afford these regions, we need to cut down. But moving on to rugby, because that's what we're here for. Thankfully, the Ospreys have a really important quarter-final match this weekend. 5:30 kickoff on Saturday, and this is going to be a big game. Lyon obviously doing well in the Pro de Deux, and they've done well in the Cup, but I really fancy the Ospreys for this one. The French, we've always said the French clubs don't travel particularly well, but I looked at Lyon's results this season, and I think they've won 3 games away from home all season. So it's not just an opinion that they don't travel that well. you know, they've got a good team, some dynamic players, and they actually do like to play a little bit as well. So it's going to be interesting, the battle up front. If Ospreys can bring the physicality they did against the Scarlets, they can at least match them and maybe get on top. And I just think they'll hopefully have too much and just sort of eventually come out on top. I think this is going to be a really close one. I think it'll be a lot more cagey than the Scarlets game, but I do fancy the Ospreys for this one. There's no real injuries as well, so Mark Jones has got a full squad to pick from, more or less, which is obviously great, but it's also going to make squad selection interesting. Does he load up the bench with some strength to bring off for that second half, or does he just try and go all out, especially with like front row or the type 5? Does he go all out and try and just take control of the game from the start, or maybe bring impact off the bench? I don't know. Would he maybe go even for a 6-2 split, considering he's got all of his most of his forwards that he can pick from? It's going to be interesting when the squad selection comes out. But you have to say, although they got beat against Scarlet in the away game in that doubleheader, he sort of managed the squad really well to make them sort of in prime position to go on a bit of this cup run. And like I said, I really fancy them. If they can pull this one out of the bag, then they should have another home fixture, and then it's the final in the Millennium Stadium, in the Principality Stadium, excuse me. So this is a great opportunity for them and just the Welsh region to get to the deep stages of a cup and actually maybe even win it. I mean, how great would it be to have a Welsh region in that EPCR final in the Millennium Stadium? It would be great. Lyon's round of 16 game against the Sharks, they were pretty dominant, especially in that first half. Kind of let their foot off the gas, but comfortable winners in the end. It was 34-21. So the scoreline sort of flattered the Sharks, because in the first half, Lyon kind of blew them away. So, you know, there is a danger there for the Ospreys, but I really do fancy them. And even though I'm a Cardiff supporter, I'm really going to be supporting the Ospreys this weekend, as much as it pains me to say. But, you know, we need to get behind Welsh rugby. It's a really tough time out there for all the regions, and we need some good news. So if you're in the Swansea area, get in there and pack the stadium out and get behind the boys. I will review the game on Sunday, and we'll see, hopefully, we're a step further into the cup and see who we're up against. Thanks for watching.